did like a lineup of like your exes, like your last 5 exes. And I don't mean exes like dated, but let's just say slept with. The last 5 people you slept with, because you could be like, I haven't had 5 boyfriends, but
you had 5 situationships.
You slept with 5 men.
Right.
You slept with 5 men. So 5 men, right, that you've slept with. Those 5 men are literally a representation of how you felt about yourself, what you thought about yourself, how much you respected yourself, how much you valued yourself at each of those times. Yeah. And so if you are not yet at a place where you are making decisions based on what you deserve, then you're going to continue to like have that revolving door of those partners who aren't loving you properly. So
welcome back. We are now about to step into the Rim segment. Very, very special guest today. I personally am so excited to have this woman in the studio with us. Long time coming. We'd like to welcome Koereyelle Mallard, to the Reliving Explicit Moments segment of Nightmare Radio.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Queen.
Hey, excited to be here.
Excited to see you, meet you, because Brittany has literally talked you up
I hope I live up
forever.
I hope I live up to the expectation.
Oh,
You've been such an inspiration for her, if you didn't know.
Aww,
yes, I wanted to tell you that personally for sure. Our listeners, definitely a lot of my friend base definitely know that I first started working with you when you were taking care of all of us single wives with the Single Wives Club.
Yes.
Back in 2013.
Long time ago.
Yes, long time ago. And so since then, you have added multi-hyphenates to your resume. Author, inspirational speaker, travel agent, boss extraordinaire. You went from teaching women how to become the best versions of themselves, to be prepared for marriage, to teaching women how to get the bag.
Yes, ma'am.
And all the while, you have been just synonymous with like exuding and promoting the Black family. And so I just want to thank you, first off.
My pleasure.
Yes. So this month, we're hopping straight into it. Of course, it's Women's Month. We're being girls as we are. We're talking all things empowerment and providing motivation for our listeners, of course. And so getting straight to it, like we always talk about doing so much and the balance that it requires. Is it really a balance? Like, is there such thing as balance in everything?
I think that balance does not exist. And I think trying to create this perfect balance is setting yourself up for failure. And I think the idea of balance comes from us just watching other people and having this false idea of what their life actually looks like,
right,
just based on what we see from the outside looking in. So I always like to say the balance thing does not exist. I think prioritization is what it comes down to. So I do a whole lot, but I don't do all of the things at one time. Depending on the day of the week or the hour of the day, like the priority might change. So I don't necessarily think that you should strive for balance, but I think that prioritization definitely has to be your priority has to be prioritizing, because once you evolve, you are going to have, multi hyphenates. You are going to have different titles. You are going to have different roles and responsibilities. And just because you become a mother does not mean that you're no longer a business owner. Just because you become a wife does not mean that you're no longer a friend anymore. And so prioritization is just a natural skill that you have to acquire.
Well, we are definitely debunking myths out here, because looking at you, I mean, you literally teach women how to manage multiple streams of income. I literally was thinking that she's doing it all at the same time.
So let me clarify. things are happening at the same time, but there are systems in place that are working simultaneously. So I am here with you, but my people can still go on my website and sign up for a course or purchase something. So things are working. I'm just not having to work them all simultaneously. So when I say prioritization, right now I'm doing like Money March, all things focused on multiple streams of income. February I was focused on relationship readiness. It was all talking about helping women and in the wife space, the relationship readiness space. So I have multiple things running at once, but my focus, my attention is not necessarily on all of the things at one time.
Very nice, very nice. So walk us through like the day in the life of Koereyelle. How do you get started?
Which day? Every day is different.
I know. So just like do you have like a day-to-day thing that's,
What I've been trying to do is give each day like its own direction. So Mondays is like my office hours. I don't schedule anything on Mondays. I don't like having to show up or be anywhere on Mondays because I'm just coming off the weekend. I'm not really ready yet. Like I'm getting warmed up on Mondays. So right. I don't really do much work on I don't want to say I don't do much work. I don't do work that requires me to show up somewhere on Mondays. Got it. Tuesdays I do my podcast meetings on Tuesdays. So anything podcast is on Tuesday. So I try to segment my life to fit on to give me a focus for each day versus me trying to do everything every day. Yeah. So that kind of works for me. And especially when you have multiple businesses or multiple brands or multiple people that you're managing, trying to segment it by day just makes my life a little bit easier. But also making sure that I do plug in like me time. So throughout all of those days, there's going to be at least, an hour or two where I'm finding time for myself so that I'm not getting lost in the shuffle.
That's amazing. I'm taking that because I need some help out here.
Me too.
In the direction department or the segment department.
Really, it's the time. I know that it's the time management for me. Mm-hmm. But we've watched you literally, be able to manage your time and also
the shade of the earring.
Also be able to pivot. So again, even before Single Wives Clubs, before you started Single Wives Club, you were also doing other businesses. I think you were selling jewelry, the stacks, bracelets, right? And then Single Wives Club came and was a blessing to many people, myself included. Although at that time, I don't feel like I was primed and mature enough to really apply, the lessons.
It definitely has to be the right. The timing is everything, I'll say.
Yeah. And along with timing comes like seasons. So you transitioned completely from Single Wives Club and you completely pivoted. So we start like, the dream is always a dream that's continuing to develop, right? But when are you able to understand and recognize, okay, this requires a pivot. I've completed my purpose or my journey in this part, and now it's time for me to reevaluate and then reorder my steps to move to the next thing?
So I think that there are a lot of like factors that could potentially say, okay, maybe it's time for a pivot. So that could mean maybe, you're looking at your analytics and the math ain't mathing. Like what was once working does not make sense anymore. So sometimes it's that. Sometimes for me personally, the things that I do, I don't start a business because I want to make money. I literally, and with the Single Wives Club specifically, that was a passion project. That was me coming out of an abusive relationship, wanting to avoid that ever again, and also wanting to help save other people from experiencing it. So I didn't start that business because I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna make a whole bunch of money doing this thing. I started it because I was going through something personally, and based on what I was personally going through, I established this support group for other women who were on the same journey. All of my businesses have been tied to me personally, things that I believe in, things that I'm going through. I haven't come out with any mommy thing yet, but as I transition, my business reflects that. So a big part of my pivots have been just like my personal beliefs have changed, or my priorities have changed. With me transitioning out of the Single Wives Club space, personally, I didn't know this at the time, but I feel like I had to come out of the single wife, like literally branding myself, all single, everything, right. Words are powerful. So I know that I needed to come out of that space to meet my husband and become the wife that now I can circle back and, come back into this space. So a lot of my pivots have just been due to me, what I've been going through personally.
Yeah. And so in that pivot, you know, you transitioned from Single Wives Club to Workplace Slay. And I know that started within, you know, it started as a conference that you offered within Single Wives Club. And you were kind of sort of like on the precipice of the whole like woman empowerment thing. Like when I think about it, you know, it's like we have different classes, you know, and you were definitely in that early 2010s class of empowerment conferences and creating that network in that space for women, because clearly there was a call for it. But now here we are 10 years later and the call has not disappeared, you know? So how are you still servicing? And I know the answer to this, but for our listeners, you know, how, because it's no longer Workplace Slay, you've got Work University, and you're teaching women on a larger scale how to do that thing. So I'm taking that the call pushed you into that direction as well.
Yeah, so again, like a natural progression. I don't, and this is probably gonna sound bad, but I don't usually, a lot of the things I do come organic. Like I'm not like a business mastermind where I'm sitting down in December and I'm just coming out with this crazy plan for the entire year ahead. A lot of the things that I do, it will literally be like God gives me something on a Sunday, I'm figuring it out, and by Friday I'm rolling with it. And so with Workplace Slay, I started to feel like, because like you said, when I started Single Wives Weekend, there was no Women Empowerment Weekend. There was not this industry. I didn't start it to make money. I wasn't making money when I first started it. Like that wasn't it. And so 7 years in, this whole women empowerment thing is a thing. It's getting a bad name. You know, all of the, you know, mean girls hosting the brunches, that became a thing. And I'm the type of person, I want to be the pioneer. Like once everybody's doing it, I don't want to do it anymore. So everybody was doing weekends, and to the point where they weren't just doing it, they were using my name. You know, like they were trying to host a Workplace Slay in different cities. Like it became just a thing. And so that's a turnoff. I'm out of here. If everybody doing it, I don't want to do it anymore. So that coupled with me also knowing that I wasn't making the impact that I could make with this one weekend thing, because everybody was so excited for this weekend, but then they went home and they just fell right back into their comfort zone doing the same things that they were doing prior to. And so Work University was born out of the need for giving women the blueprint to actually do the things that I was empowering them to do. So instead of you just coming to Atlanta and getting excited and empowered and I can go do it, I'm going to give you the plan to actually do it, you know, the step by step. So Work University is the step by step, you know, that is the blueprint for how they can actually use their skills to start new streams of income.
Boom. We need to be up and working.
Yeah, we do. Sound like it. Sound like you got a well-oiled machine over there. Sounds so. Okay, so I want to get into a little bit of, you know, current event discussion.
Okay.
So this week, Kim Kardashian has been on everyone's mind because she said that women in business need to work harder.
Yes.
Now, I took it
as to work.
I didn't take any offense. I was like, Kim, you damn right. These people need to work harder because I feel like a lot of people have been a lot more lax when it comes down to entrepreneurship. Everybody wants to be one because they want to say that they're one, but nobody wants to actually put the work in to reap what it gives. So what do you think about that statement? Do you think women in business need to work harder, or do you think that Kim Kardashian shouldn't even be addressing women in business because she was privileged?
So I think that everyone's entitled to their opinions. I don't necessarily think that Kim Kardashian should be speaking to entrepreneurs who are like out here trying to get it out the mud, because most entrepreneurs who are getting it out the mud are working hard.
Right.
It might not be working out just yet, but they are working hard. And most success stories didn't jump out the gate successful. So that hard work doesn't necessarily materialize into something as quickly as it did for her and her family.
Right.
So I think that she is entitled to her opinion. I also, on the other hand, though, think that she should have probably read the room. You know, I just think that it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it. I think her tone was off.
It was the tone.
It was, you know, it was very like,
work hard, bitch.
Yeah, literally. I mean, literally. And yes, I agree with working hard, but people are working hard and they don't necessarily get the results that you've been able to get because of the name that you walk in with, the introductions that you might have, the connection. So it's just a different It's just a different thing. I think that, I'm annoyed every time Kim K says anything. And most of the world is. So I think that we already are going to like attack anything that she says. So I think that she just probably should just be quiet. Yeah, just be quiet because you know that people are going to have something to say.
Yeah.
And I just think that the way she said it, it just could have been said a little differently.
Yeah, I can.
But I don't think she's
that.
wrong.
I don't think I can respect.
Yeah,
that. I can respect that. I can respect that.
It was probably
the tone. It was probably the tone that was not receptive, right?
Unaccepted from coming from who she is, because I mean her resume does. She's got the resume for it, but she also has the privilege and the advantages that most of us don't even have.
Exactly. And then us sitting down or coming up with an idea and then trying to bring an idea to fruition is a totally different process from Kim Kardashian saying, I want to create Skims today and tomorrow she has a prototype.
Yeah.
It's different. So her working hard is very different from our working hard.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't think that she thought about that before she
Exactly. Especially when it comes down to the coin.
Right.
Everybody don't got the coin.
You touched on something when you said, everyone, it's other people that are working hard, but it may not be working out yet. So it really just goes into like the endurance that it requires to get it to work out.
Yeah.
We talk about the success stories. We could run your resume down, girl, for all the success that you've received. But it seems like the pieces of the conversation that are always missing is the failure stories. So we want to know what failed. Like, what were the things that didn't work, that didn't necessarily work out, that still taught you valuable lessons to take along the way?
So 2012, when I wanted to host the very first Single Wives Weekend, had came up with this great idea. I think it was the Single in the City. It was going to be called, found a venue, all of the things, and $4,500 paid for the venue. Could not sell one ticket, like not a single ticket. Didn't sell a ticket though because I had no marketing strategy. I just came up with an idea. Like, I got this idea, I'm going to do it. Found the venue, got the money, I'm going to do it. And because I could not sell any tickets, went back to try to get my money back. Like, we're going to postpone it, give me some more time. And I was literally, I think like 2 days too late to qualify for the refund. So I literally lost the entire $4,500. Event obviously did not take place. And that hurt my pride because in my mind, came up with this great idea. I know it's a great idea, so everybody's going to think it's a great idea and it's just going to work out. Right. That's not how it works. The whole build it and people will come unless you're Beyonce, unless you're Kim K. Like, it doesn't work out like that.
Right.
So that was like huge failure coming off of prior to the very first event. That was the first conference I was trying to have, but the very first event was like a pop-up shop. It wasn't a pop-up shop back then. This was like 2012. So that wasn't a thing, but that's essentially what it was. And so like 5 tickets to this thing on top of having sold like 10 vendor tables. So I got these business owners who have invested, didn't have any shoppers. So those are the things, those are stories that I love to tell because people will see the sold out events and not know the 5 people that showed up, when I had invested in the venues, had invested in the cases of wine for this event for these 5 people. So I've definitely had those times where I had these great expectations. And even today, everything I touch does not turn to gold. Like, Instagram makes it seem like once you're a success, everything is successful, but that's definitely not the case. So I haven't necessarily had a huge failure like those. But I definitely have had, things that I put out that y'all don't hear about because they just didn't work out. Yeah. So I think that it's important to put things in perspective for you and not necessarily what you see other people doing, because you don't necessarily know those things, like you said, that didn't work out, that gave you the lessons or gave you the information or gave you the data that led to things, actually working out.
Yeah, that's real. And more than relatable for us over here because we have, I think we've seen great success in our events, but the behind the scenes is super duper hard, and it is a lot of opportunities and times where we put our own money, and our energy and effort into it. And it's not necessarily the outcome that we expect. But like you said, this shit is going to pop, Ish.
Yeah.
I know it's going to pop. And then it's like, whew.
It fizzled. It did not pop.
It didn't pop, or it didn't pop yet, But again, the endurance that's required through it all. And even like the confidence, like how do you maintain confidence when the things don't work out as you thought they would? Like, how do you still
go back to what did work out. Because something that you're experiencing right now is an answered prayer. Like, and not even just an answered prayer, like it was a blessing. You worked for some things. Like you earned some of the, not even some, the things that you've earned right now are things you once couldn't fathom. Things you once like prayed to God, if I could just. So I tap back into those things. Like, well, wait a minute. What have you already done? Like you're already that person. This thing might not have worked out because it might not be the right thing right now, but I never question whether I'm the right person. That just might not be the right thing. And that's okay. Like you have to go through the wrong things to figure out the right thing. It's like dating, you know, like, are you going to give up? Like, forget it. I'm over this because that last guy wasn't it. No, I'm going to try this thing again.
Right.
I'm not ever going to feel like God forgot about me. This just isn't it. Like, I just got to keep going until I figure that thing out. And that, I believe that. Like,
that's true.
Maybe I'm crazy for believing it, but that's what I tap into to draw something to keep going.
You're right, girl. That's I can't remember the verse because I'm not about to sit here and quote it, but that's basically what I read this morning.
in your
in a nutshell,
devotion time.
In my closet, you know, my little prayer closet. But yeah, you know, speaking into that, speaking life into yourself, and even manifestation. You're the manifestation queen. I'm reminded of the story too. Somewhere around the time of conference 1 or 2, I think you said you were at the ATM. Someone before you had just withdrawn some money from the ATM and you hung on to that receipt. Do you remember this story?
I don't remember, but tell it to me.
Let me remind you.
Okay, remind me.
Yeah, you said that you had pulled up to the ATM to take out some money to pay for something, pay for a vendor, whatever. And the ATM that you were at, there was a receipt that was left in the thing, and it was, you know, withdrawal amount, and it was hella money and the available balance left, and that wasn't the case for you at that time. But you were like, I'm hanging on to this.
Those things. Listen, I don't remember that story, but those things, those little tokens, and those, you know, those what's it called? It's like a representation of your faith.
Yeah,
basically, a physical representation of your faith.
Necessary. I need to cover my room with those types of reminders because
super necessary. So my husband, before I met him, I bought a travel pillow.
Yeah.
Travel was super important. So those little physical things, like the tangible things that, because for a lot of people who didn't grow up with like super spiritual, not religious, but spiritual parents who know about manifestation and talk about meditation and do all those things, if you didn't grow up learning those things, it's like weird. Yeah. You know, it's a very hard skill to acquire. And so for a lot of people, having something physical that you can touch, that you can feel, that makes it a little bit easier. It makes it real because you can feel it. Right. So for me, you know, the receipt, the travel pillow, the gold card, the things a lot of times help me to manifest.
That's true. Something tangible that you can look at. Note it for sure for my own self. Now let's transition into the love department.
How you find that man, girl? We need to know.
Listen, so making the list and becoming the list is super real. I know the whole concept of the list is kind of like, I'm over it. I don't want to hear that again. But the list works if you're intentional with it. The list works even if you're not intentional. It's just you're going to manifest like good or bad. Right. But you're going to manifest something. So working on becoming the person deserving of the person who you want to attract is the key. That's the bottom line. I mean, and we could break that down in you know, that could be a whole nother hour-long conversation. But for each individual person, that journey is going to look different. It comes down to you being self-aware about, number one, what you want, and then number two, who you need to become to be deserving of what it is that you want. Because a lot of times we can rattle off this, you know, laundry list of things that we want in a partner. But then if you say, okay, but are you a match to that? Yeah. Then it's like, well, I'm not a match, but I feel like he should want me, or I'm a catch, or, you know, he should take me as I am.
I bring all of this to the table.
That's really how our generation is operating now, which is why the dating pool is trash for most, not for me, for most. Because we were talking about the whole high value thing that was going around this week about men being intimidated by women who are high value women. And we were just like, what is high value? Is it money? Is it the values that they want? You know, or that you want. So it's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot, and it's easy to get caught up in those things. That's why it comes down to you knowing what you want for you outside of what society says you should have or do, or the rules you should live by, all of those things. Because if you are basing what you want off of those things, when you get it, you're not going to want it. When you get it, it's not going to feel good because it wasn't what was for you.
Right.
So I think figuring out truly what makes you happy and then becoming a match to get that is what I think is key.
So did you go through like a mindset change? Because
Girl,
right now I feel
I?
like I'm in this transition where I'm ready to unlock that next level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm like going through this whole mindset change to me in my eyes. So what did that mindset change look like for you?
So I think every new level requires a new mindset shift. It's not just I made this mindset shift today and now I'm set for the rest of my life. It's no, this mindset is working right now, but when I want to do that next thing, I'm going to need that next level. I'm going to need that new information, that new mindset, that new belief system. A lot of times, like what you are experiencing right now is based on what you believe about yourself,
right?
Especially in relationships. So one of the things that I like to say that, most single women don't like to hear, but if you did a lineup of your exes, like your last 5 exes. And I don't mean exes like dated, but let's just say slept with. The last 5 people you slept with, because you could be like, I haven't had 5 boyfriends, but
you had 5
situationships. With 5 men.
Right.
You slept with 5 men. So 5 men, right, that you've slept with. Those 5 men are literally a representation of how you felt about yourself, what you thought about yourself, how much you respected yourself, how much you valued yourself at each of those times. Yeah. And so if you are not yet at a place where you are making decisions based on what you deserve, then you're going to continue to have that revolving door of those partners who aren't loving you properly. So the mindset shift comes down to you really knowing what you deserve, which sounds good because I'm a bad bee. I know what I deserve. Right. But are you willing to stick to those standards?
Right.
Because that's the other side. It's not just knowing your worth, it's sticking to the standards.
That's more than a word.
That's a word.
Because we kind of sort of touched on that too. And I feel like I did that without actually applying it as such, but I took the time required to do that. And we say that the dating pool is trash. From my experience these last couple of years, the dating pool ain't trash. Mm-hmm. But I changed my mindset to get out of that pool.
Right.
And I'm never dipping back down in that pool again. Because so far it's been decent over there. But
it's the environment. It's where are you?
That reflection piece though, the people, that's
it's big.
And who you associate with.
Yes.
Have you had any isolation time in your journey to becoming a wife or becoming a, successful business owner? What was that isolation time like? I know we asked this question in another interview, but what was that isolation time like for you to really unlock that next level? Because, everybody can't go.
Absolutely. So my isolation time came directly after I got out of that relationship when I was engaged to be married. And that was probably a good year where I was going to therapy, reading every single book I could get my hands on. The first time I read Think and Grow Rich, it was during that year. The first time I started really getting into meditation, it was during that year. And even though that year was 2010, 11, I didn't meet my husband until 2017. So it was not like I did this thing, I did Eat, Pray, Love, and then my man showed up. It wasn't that. It was truly a process, truly a journey. And that journey can get frustrating. It can get stressful. It can start feeling like, well, what the hell? I did the work.
Yeah.
Where is he? And that is the time when your faith is really tested. And so it wasn't just that year. It was a consistent. I think that we can't ever be too good. We're not ever done growing, done learning, done improving. And so, yes, I've gotten through this year, but now this next year I got to work on something different.
Right.
So maybe after that first year, I didn't meet my husband, but the type of men that I was attracting started changing. Yeah. And it just got better and better and better because I got better and better and better and evolved. And, as my business started doing better, the circles that I was in, the environments that I was in, the people I hung out with, all of those things started to change and continue to change and evolve until and not even until, because again, it's a ever
word from Michelle.
Yeah,
right.
it's
you got to keep becoming.
Yeah. It's a consistent thing. So even though I'm married now, that's not the end all be all. You know, like I don't just want to be a wife and that's it. It's like, well, how can I now get around happily married couples because I want my marriage to continue to grow? How can I get around mothers who are doing the damn thing because I want to be a bomb ass mom? You know, like how do I continue to just next level, like level up, level up, level up?
Right.
And that's a consistent, not necessarily isolation because, you know, I have a husband and a kid now, so I can't necessarily isolate, but it's a consistent season of development, I'll say.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. Koereyelle, you just came in and just set the table
Snatch
on
some edges.
I tried.
fire. Where's the extinguisher? Philip, go and get it. Tell everybody about the Girl Stop podcast.
Yes. Listen, I'm so excited about this podcast because, so again, like, you was tooting my own horn, so I don't have to toot it for myself. But I pride myself on like being an originator. I really hate doing what's already overly done. So I got into the podcast space before podcasting was like the thing to do. Back in 2015 when it wasn't like a thing. I didn't even know what it was. I just had started a radio show. I had this platform. I knew that my voice was powerful, but I didn't know anything about podcasting. And so I started doing it, wasn't monetizing it. Again, wasn't in it to make money, was just doing what I knew to do. What I knew to do. And so 2019, the space was cluttered. Everybody has a podcast. Yeah. It's like a thing now. And when everybody's doing it, I don't want to do it no more. So got lazy, lost passion for it. 2020 kind of took time off. And so Confessions of a Workaholic was the podcast that I initially launched. It was all around entrepreneurship because I have evolved and I know that I was literally doing a disservice repeating the message, make money, make money, make money, make money. That's it. Make money, make money.
Yeah, the podcast ended.
Right. And so I knew that it's not just about making money. That's not all. Like, I want to have the honey to go with my money. So the Girl Stop Playing podcast is all about encouraging Black women to stop playing with their potential so they can start working for what they want in life and in love. Because I believe that if you want this, you know, happy, healthy marriage, which a lot of us do, you have to prioritize that. And so just as much as you invest in your business, you have to be willing to invest in, you know, preparing for a relationship. So the Girl Stop Playing podcast is live every single Thursday at 8 p.m. and it's all about creating the conversations to push the culture forward.
Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I've tapped in a few times. I'll still be listening. Well, actually, I went to go see if I could find Confessions of a Workaholic, but because those episodes, even though I know you said that it was repetitive, sometimes you have to just go back and listen. Like, I still listen to...
It's still there. You can still find it.
Okay, cool. I'm going to make sure I get back all the way into my bag. Best and Bossed Up podcast, I still be on repeat.
Yes. Hey, Tatum.
Hey, girl. Yes. But yes, we'll tap in with that. Work University for the girls.
Tap in.
And Money March, you mentioned.
Money March is going on right now. All things are, you can connect with me on Instagram, though, at Koereyelle. Everything is always in my bio.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Koereyelle. We appreciate you for the
me.
gems.
Yes, girl, you changed my life.
Thank y'all for having me. This was fun.
Absolutely. Well, we'll check in with you all next week. And as always, don't sleep.
It's Nightmare Radio. We out.
Peace out.